Welcome to the English with Kirsty podcast from www.englishwithkirsty.com. Here I'll be sharing with you tips, information and other learning resources so that you can improve your business English. Hello and welcome to the English with Kirsty podcast. And today is going to be a vocabulary episode. So we're going to be talking about a specific topic and some vocabulary that's associated with that. So if you want to see how these words look when they're written down, or you want a list of the vocabulary we're talking about today, then you need to go to the show notes page, which this week is englishwithkirsty.com/podcast/episode 112, because today we have episode 112. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about sickness and being unwell. So not everything you would tell your doctor. It's not kind of a going to the doctor's episode, but it's the kind of things that you would talk about or hear at work. So the kind of things that you would say, or if you're not feeling well, because it's nearly winter now in the UK when I'm recording this, and that's the time when a lot of people get the flu or colds or just generally feeling unwell, because the seasons are changing and you're going from hot office to cold outside and then to hot car or hot tube. And anyway, so today I'm going to list some of this vocabulary and just talk about what the differences are, because there are some slight differences between American and British English as well. So if you're not feeling well, some of the things you can say are: I don't feel well, I don't feel well, I'm feeling ill, I'm feeling unwell, I don't feel very well. All these kind of things just means there's something wrong with you, basically. It's not like really serious, you're not going to be rushed into hospital, but you just don't feel good. There's something wrong. And if you don't use feel, you can say, yeah, I'm ill, I'm unwell. We don't usually say I'm sick in British English. Sick, for this, when you're talking about how you're feeling, if you feel sick, then you need to go to the bathroom quickly. You're going to be sick, vomiting. But if you say you're sick, it can mean you're not well, but in British English, the word sick has more of a connection to vomiting specifically. So if I was feeling unwell because I had a headache and a sore throat, I wouldn't say, oh, I'm sick because I'm unwell. The difference here is when we're talking about people being off sick or away from work, then we use sick more. We say that someone's off sick. But if I had a stomach ache or something like that, I wouldn't say I was sick. Whereas in other parts of the world, I think people use sick in a more wider way to kind of talk about any kind of being unwell. So I'm unwell, I'm not well. Something not to confuse this with is when we say I'm sick of something, because that just means you're fed up with it, you're tired of it. I'm sick of this cold weather and I'm sick of the rain. You're fed up with it, but it doesn't mean it's made you ill. It just means you've had enough. You want it to stop or go away. So some of the things that happen this time of year: I have a cold. So that means your nose is running, you maybe have a headache, you maybe have a sore throat, that kind of thing. And a verb that we use with cold as well is to catch. So you catch a cold, which is strange because, catch is usually like catch a ball. You hold it in your hands, but we catch a cold as well. So I've caught a cold, you can say. The flu is shortened for influenza, but nobody says influenza. The flu is this thing you get. It's worse than a cold. You often have a temperature and a headache and you feel terrible. It's kind of worse than a cold. I mean, you can have a heavy cold. That's like a bad cold. But the flu is worse. And yeah, you have to spend some time in bed and get over it. Whereas a cold, you might still be able to do stuff, but you just don't feel very good. I have a headache. Yeah, that can come with a cold or the flu. Like, it can be like a headache. I mean, some people suffer with headaches anyway, and that isn't to do with having a cold, but a cold can also bring on the headache. A sore throat. That's something that I usually have. If I get a cold, I immediately get a sore throat, and then I lose my voice, and it's rubbish. When you're a teacher and you don't have a voice, then that's not fun. But these things go together. So I have a sore throat. I've lost my voice. That means you can't talk, or you can talk, but it's really difficult. And you can have a cough as well. So often a cough and a cold go together. So a cough can also be a sore throat, or it can be because you have like a chest infection or a throat infection. And that means that it's a virus. It's something that you may need some antibiotics to get rid of. It's a throat infection is far worse than just a sore throat. Moving on to the stomach, I mentioned that a bit earlier, but if you have an upset stomach, it means there's something wrong with it. You need to keep dashing to the bathroom. There's something wrong with your stomach. Sometimes people say, I ate something that didn't agree with me, which is a bit strange, but you may hear it, so I've included it. So basically, if you don't agree with someone, it means you have a different opinion. But if you eat something that doesn't agree with you, it's usually because there's something wrong with the thing, not because it's an allergic reaction or something. But it just means that something that you've eaten has upset your stomach and caused you to maybe it wasn't cooked properly, maybe it was undercooked chicken or something like that, but it made you have a stomach ache, and the reason that you're feeling unwell is because of the thing that you've eaten. A stomach bug is not necessarily something you've eaten, but it's something you've caught. It's like a bug. Sometimes it's a sickness bug as well that makes you feel sick, feel like you need to vomit. And sometimes they come together, but a bug is less about something you've eaten and more about something you've caught. And you can have a temperature. I mean, we say I have a temperature, which is a bit strange because everybody has, a temperature because you can measure it with the thermometer. But when people say they have a temperature, it means a high temperature. So it's higher than it should be because you're ill. Your temperature goes up. So when people say I have a temperature, it means it's too high, and you need to get it down. So yeah, if somebody's feeling unwell at work, they might say, yeah, I need to go home because I'm not feeling well. Or if it's something they've known about, I have a doctor's appointment. So that means that they're going to the doctor. Or somebody was taken to hospital or rushed into hospital. Taken to hospital just means, yeah, somebody took you there. Rushed into hospital is a bit more serious because it means it was in a hurry. So there's probably something that happened to you, something sudden that needed treatment, maybe something like a heart attack or something where it was, you had to call the ambulance and rush the person into hospital. So if somebody's just not there, not in the office, you can say that they are off sick. So off sick doesn't really make much sense if you take it apart, but as a phrase it means they are off as in away from the office, and sick because they are sick, which here has the broader meaning of just not being well. You can say on sick leave, on sickness leave, on sickness absence. All these things just mean they're not in the office because they're not well. We talk about being signed off. Now you can be signed off for different reasons, but here it means signed off by the doctor, so you have a certificate. And things work differently in different countries. In England you can self-certify, like if you don't come in for a day, you don't have to go to the doctors. I don't know the rules anymore, so I'm not going to say that, but it's, if it's not a long period of time, you can self-certify and tell your manager that you don't feel well and you're not coming in because you've got an upset stomach or something. If it's for a longer period of time, then you do need a certificate from the doctor to prove that you were genuinely sick. So this signed off means signed off by the doctor. And usually you have a sickness record as well. So if you're a manager, you have a sickness record for each of your members of staff, and you monitor their sickness absence, because if somebody has a headache every Monday or something, you probably need to speak to them about that. But a sickness record is a record of how many days you didn't go to work in a year because you were unwell. So it's more planned things. You can say I'm going into hospital if that's like, you know that you're going to hospital for an operation. I'm going to have an operation. And then things like he broke his leg means that, you know, it's the bone has broken. If somebody is on crutches, it means that they have these metal poles with supports to help them to walk. So somebody might be on crutches, and obviously they can come to work, but they shouldn't be standing around for a long time. Well, or, you know, climbing stairs will be difficult. So that kind of thing. Obviously, whether they can come to work depends on how bad it is. I'm not saying everyone on crutches can come to work, but, you know, it's people do walk around, but then obviously it's more difficult for them. If somebody sprains their ankle, they haven't actually broken it, but they've stretched the muscles and ligaments. I don't know exactly how it works, but it all swells up, and so it's not actually broken, but you've hurt it because you maybe twisted it, fell over and twisted it, or something like that. A fracture is when it's not actually broken, but you know you will still need treatment for that if you've cracked or fractured a bone. And then finally, things that you can say to somebody when they're not well. So get well soon. You see that on cards. You know, you can send somebody a get well soon card. I hope you're feeling better soon. That kind of thing. Take care means like look after yourself. And the last thing you want is people returning too soon, because then you'll probably catch the flu or whatever they have. So, you know, take care, look after yourself, get well soon, hope you're feeling better. That's the general kind of things that we say to people who aren't well. And finally, just 2 abbreviations that you may see. A and E is accident and emergency. And so this is where you go if you have an accident, so you need to go to hospital, and something bad has happened, you were taken to accident and emergency because it's not a planned thing, it's not a planned operation, and it's not, I need to get an appointment. Something has happened and you need help now. So you go to this place, which is often abbreviated to A&E. The other one is GP, and that just means general practitioner. So this is your doctor that you see at the doctor's surgery. So not at the hospital. It's when you go to see the doctor, and they do have walk-in clinics where you don't have to book, but generally you have an appointment, and generally it's not really serious, because otherwise you will go to the hospital. So there's just a couple of abbreviations. And I would like to know from you podcast listeners if this is something that you find useful to look at vocabulary on a particular topic, because it's not something I do all the time. If you do like them, then do let me know in the comments form, which you'll find on the show notes page, which is englishwithkirsty.com/podcast/episode 112. And if you would like more vocabulary episodes, then let me know what kind of topics would interest you. You know, ideally something to do with English at work or travel for work or something like that, because the main focus here is business English. But if there are things that you want to know and want me to look at in more detail, then let me know, and that helps me when I'm planning future episodes to know what kind of things people want to learn about or talk about. So I hope that's helpful. Have a good week and have fun learning English. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the English with Kirsty podcast. If you have any questions or comments, my email address is kirsty@englishwithkirsty.com, or you can go to www.englishwithkirsty.com/podcast, where you'll find information about the individual episodes.